Today's webinar is going to be about what teaching English online is and how to get started. So we'll give a brief presentation basically on what it is exactly that you'll be doing as an online English teacher, what you need to teach English online, software, hardware, those kind of things. We'll also talk about how much you can earn as an online English teacher, and then at the end, how eTEFL online teacher training can help you get started as well. I'm very excited about today's presentation to have everybody on board from the eTEFL online teacher training team. So we're going to go over everything and give you as much information as we possibly can. All right, let me just have a look at all these different people there. Look at all those faces. All right, so today we'll be joined by Dr. Daniel Portman. He's our TEFL course manager. He has a doctorate in education and with applied linguistics, and has been training teachers and creating courses for over 20 years. He'll join us to explain a bit more about that later on. My name is Jody van der Westhuizen. I'm the founder of eTEFL Online. I have 14 years of experience. I'm TEFL qualified. I've been teaching ESL in Spain for 15 years now. So I've used my business understanding as well as my teaching understanding to come and bring everybody together to create these bundles that we see, that we'll talk about later on today. We'll also be joined later on by Zander Boerta. He is a previous eTEFL Online graduate, and he now uses, and he's an online English teacher, of course. So he now uses his experience and his qualifications as our TEFL mentor and coach to help new people get started in this. All right. Then we're also joined by Lorne Dixon, whose video is on there. Hi, Lorne. He is your TEFL trainer and practicum coach. Lorne has also been training teachers online or in schools as well for over 20 years. He is a TEFL qualified teacher himself, and he teaches English at university level as well in Thailand. All right. We're also joined later on by Roxanne Boerta. She's our Ielts head of studies. She's also an eTEFL Online graduate. We've been chatting ever since she graduated. This must be 3 years ago. And she has come back to help us head up the Ielts department. We'll talk a bit more about Ielts later on, exactly what that is. And not joining us today is Christina Lopez. She's the liaison from our partner school. We have a practicum program that Lorne will talk about a bit more later on, where you will also teach real students in a real classroom environment to gain experience. And the online school that provides that is Christina's school. All right, so let's get cracking with the presentation. So please make sure that you have no distractions, that you've turned off your mobile phone, or at least muted it, logged out of applications that are going to bother you. We'll aim to keep it short as well, 30 to 45 minutes. I don't know if that's short for most people, but that's short for us. There's a lot of information to cover. So I wanted to make it at least that long. Please stay until the end as well, as we'll have something special for those people that do. And we'll also have a little Q&A session at the end where you can ask any questions that we may not have covered in this presentation. Also, remember that this presentation is being recorded for marketing purposes. So if you do not want to appear in it, please keep your camera off, and generally speaking, please remain muted throughout the presentation. At the end, if you want to ask any questions, you can unmute and we'll be happy to answer those questions for you. All right. So let's get to it. What is teaching English online exactly? So that is you, the teacher or tutor, whatever you want to name yourself. You're delivering online English lessons via video or audio, or both, to students around the world. All right. So you can be anywhere, they can be anywhere. That's the beauty of this. You can work from home, you can work while traveling. Digital nomads enjoy this job as well because it's very flexible in that regard. All right, as I've done the introductions, I'm in Spain, Lorne is in Thailand, Roxanne and Zander are in South Africa. Dr. Portman is in Israel. So we are a global community. So you can teach adults, you can teach children, you can teach both, whatever your preference is. You can work for online schools, or you can teach privately. You can also teach conversational English or lesson-based programs as well, kind of like what I'm doing right now, going through PDF slides, for example, or PowerPoint slides in this case. All right. Or some students just prefer to have conversational classes with their teachers, depending on what the needs of your student are. This is one of our previous graduates as well, teacher Helen. So you can see that by her background that she has there, she's got it all set up because she teaches young learners. So she's got to have something colorful and bright that keeps the child's attention and that can help her focus as well. All right. So what will you teach your students? English, of course. All right. But this can vary a lot depending on, for example, whether you work for a school or you work for yourself. All right. So what you teach when you work for a school, that's decided by the school. They will schedule you with your students and they will provide the materials for you, and you will teach that person these things End of story. If you work for yourself, of course, that's up to you. And also the second point, the needs of your student. If you've got private students, why are they taking classes with you? Is it to prepare for exams? Is it to just for business English? Is it to just get some experience speaking? That will depend, and you can create lessons based around that, the needs of your student. All right. Your skills and experience. Now, most people think that you need to be a skilled or experienced teacher, but you can bring your skills and experience from other parts of your life beforehand, right? So if you've got professional experience, you've been a lawyer, you've been a real estate agent, whatever, there are students out there that wants English specific to their industry. And if you're in the same industry, you can help them. And that is the last point on that slide, your niche. All right. So there's general English, teaching English online to children and to adults. That's one thing, but niche teaching is very, very specific. And if you have the skills and you have the knowledge from a previous career that will help you with that, then that's going to help you get more specific students and students that pay more per hour as well, because they have a certain set of needs that need to be fulfilled. Niche specialization, just to talk about this in a little bit more in depth, we'll go into it later on as well. But choosing a niche, this is the specialization I'm talking about, will help you earn more money. Like I said, if you have something specific, for example, let's take law. There's a lot of jargon, there's a lot of very specific language for legal English that is not known by most people. I don't know it. If you're not a lawyer, you probably don't know it either. But lawyers that want to go travel abroad, or they have an English client, or they want to go work for a firm, for example, they don't need to learn the cat sat on the mat and my name is. They need to learn the language specific to their industry. So if you know that, and you now have a teacher training qualification as well, you can provide them with that information, and they are willing to pay you handsomely for it. So you can also set yourself apart from the competition. There are many, many teachers online, tens of thousands of online English teachers. And how are you going to set yourself apart with that? All right, you can do so by specializing in a niche. And this also helps you build a long-term career. There's only so much English you can teach. General English you can teach for 20 years before you get over it. All right, if you build a niche and you start building programs and word of mouth, and your students spread the word and bring more students to you, you can really teach what you love, and that will make you happy in your job and therefore keep you teaching longer. So just to go over some niches as well, I've got some images up here, just random images. We can look at the first one there. Travel English, for example, is a niche. Legal English there in the middle, business English on the right. IT, if you're talking there at the bottom about if you're into that and you have any IT experience, anything with computers, anything technological, that is very specific English that is not common to every language. All right, so that's something that you can specialize in, or just conversational English. There are literally, I mean, these are 5 images, but there are literally thousands and thousands of niches out there, things that you can't even imagine. Recently, another lady contacted me via email. She wants to specialize in special needs education for adults. Now, I was aware of special needs education, but I always connected it with children. But of course, there's a niche I hadn't thought of before. Of course, the adults will also need that kind of a thing. So it can be literally anything. And we advise you to, focus a little bit on general English as well, but also have a niche. The more you diversify, the safer you're going to be, or the more secure your income will be as well. Okay, I know I'm speaking very fast, but I don't want to waste anybody's time. I want to deliver as much information as possible. So what will you teach your students? English, obviously, but what specifically? All right, so the things that you don't know, the things that you do know, your niche and your experience, that you bring to the table. What you don't know, we will help you with, all right? This is in our training courses as well. So we'll teach you about English grammar, how to teach that, how to make it fun, lesson planning. Cannot overestimate the importance of lesson planning, all right? How is your student going to reach their goals if you don't have a path for them set out, all right? How do you introduce the language? How do you practice the language with them? And how do you make sure that they understand? And then evaluation is another thing. How do you test whether or not your students have learned anything? Then through evaluation, you can also see where their weak points are and focus on that, and what they've already achieved, you can put to the side a bit and move on, and then help them progress that way. Another question is, how will you teach your students? Obviously, a computer is very important. There are applications that you do with telephones, with mobile phones, audio-only applications, but the majority of the time you'll be working with a computer or a laptop, whichever one suits your needs. Most teachers have laptops because they're easy to move around, especially this kind of job leans itself towards moving around. You're very flexible. You can go wherever you want and teach from wherever you want. So laptops are very, very popular. But this is basically it. You'll need video software and you will need audio software as well. So some of the video conferencing software that you're familiar with, Zoom, for example, like this very presentation. Learn how to use Zoom. If you haven't already, go and play around with it because it will be important. Skype is another one. Skype is not as flexible as Zoom. Zoom has a lot of features that can help you with teaching. Skype is not so much, but if you're only doing conversational classes, for example, then Skype will be fine. Google Meet is another similar one. And then, of course, if you work for an online school, they have their own software and they will, and their own platforms, and they will train you in how to use that. So if you're not familiar with it, there's no need to worry. Some hardware that you will need. Okay, you will need a computer, obviously, with a webcam, an HD webcam, if possible. All right, so 720 pixel, 1080 pixels, something along those lines. A headset, all right, so a headset with a microphone so that you can communicate. Noise canceling, preferably. You don't want to skimp on that. You want to spend a little bit of money to have something quality so your student can hear you and you can hear your student. And of course, the internet connection, don't forget about that. Very important. If you could get an internet connection of around 10 megabits per second download and upload, then you're sitting pretty. That should cover your needs in most cases. If you don't have access to fiber optic internet, that's all right. If you have private students, you can perhaps get away with a little bit less. But if you work for an online school, during the interview process, they will ask you to test your internet connection on the actual interview call. So they will know, just to make sure that you are you have the requirements. And I'd say like 10 up and down should be enough, 10 megabits. All right, so let's get to the good stuff, why everyone's here. You all want to learn how to start a new career. So if you have a career, how much can you earn? Again, this depends. I'm sorry to keep harping on about how it depends, but it really does. It depends on your qualifications. It depends on your experience. Your qualifications, do you have a degree? Are you a certified teacher? What qualifications can you bring? What experience can you bring from your previous job to the table, or especially for private and niche teaching? Are you going to work for an online school or private, or are you going to work for both? All right. If you work for an online school, how much you earn is determined by them. They have a contract at a set rate, and your qualifications will impact that as well. If you have a degree, you're likely to earn more. Or if you're private, then your experience is probably more important to your private students than your qualifications. Also, your niche, do you specialize in anything? Is that going to help you earn more money? And your hours. So how many hours are you willing to commit to teaching English online? Are you going to spend 2 hours a week? Well, then your income is going to be low. If you can spend 6 to 8 hours a day teaching, then of course you will earn more money. So a variety of factors will influence how much you can earn. So I've done a couple of simulations here. This little tool, this calculator, is actually on our website, eteflonline.com, where you can go and log in there. It's under the Teach English Online tab. There's a bunch of information there about hardware and software requirements. You can watch some videos. You can play around with this calculator. So I've just set it here, for example, at the lowest rate, say $10 US per hour, and you only work an hour a day. You're going to earn around 250 US a month working an hour a day. Okay. I've also added this little cost of the bundle because we have training bundles for those that are interested. So if you invest, say $299, it would take you, at the bottom here, you can see how long it would take you to recoup that investment, earning this amount of money. All right. So this is an important distinction to make. Any training course and something like this is an investment. It's not a cost. A cost is an iPhone or a pair of shoes. The second you buy it, the value drops. This is going to bring income for you. I've done a couple of other simulations just to give you a broader view. Say, for example, we raise the rate to $20 per hour and we work 2 hours per day. Now you're earning 1,000 US a month, and your investment, that same investment, will take 7.5 days. Can you, envision yourself spending 7 days to recoup an investment, to see if this is for you? And then we'll do one last. Say we go up to $30 an hour, where we will be specializing now in a niche. This is the kind of money you can earn like that, and you work 3 hours a day. Now you're earning 2,250 US a month, and your investment will be recouped in 3.3 days. So 3 days to get back your investment, and after that, everything is profit. Now, as well, it's interesting to point out that these are all part-time hours. This is 3 hours a day. This is not even a full-time job. So the earning potential is there. You need to know who your students are. You need to especially have a niche that is going to help you, and that will help you earn more money. All right, so how can eTEFL online teacher training help you? How can we help you achieve all of those things? Well, We will provide the teacher training courses, the TEFL or the TESOL, the Ielts, which will, like I said, we'll get into in more detail later on. So we'll provide all the training you need and the certifications you need to apply for jobs, and also to have the knowledge and the ability to teach. We'll provide the resources that you need as well, the resumes, the introduction videos, the freelance profiles that you need to set up. All of these things are things you don't know about before you begin, but are very important along the road. And we'll provide those as well. We also have a mentorship program and coaching. So once you've got all of these things in place and you have your course done and your certificate, and you have all the resources, we'll sit with you on a live program over 3 weeks to put everything together, 7 sessions live on Zoom, and help you set all of these things up, apply for jobs, get interviews, set up freelance profiles, show you how to get freelance students as well. But this is going to be later on. We'll go into more depth about it. And of course, lifetime ongoing support with all of our packages. You are part of our online teacher community. We have community groups on Facebook and on WhatsApp, and we help each other out whenever we need it. All right. So this is another thing. It's very important to be surrounded by people that are on the same journey with you. It helps a lot that you can fall back and ask people for advice and give advice as well. So it's not just a place for you to accept, but for you to share as well. All right. I wanted to talk about the TEFL certification courses, and I wanted to pass this on to Daniel. I hope he's online right now.
Yeah.
Oh, there he is. Hey, Daniel.
I've been here.
Hiding in the shadows. Hello, Daniel.
I try not to. Okay, so hello, everyone. So just before I begin, the profile that Jody just described in terms of specialization and having your sort of own business is what I've been doing the last 23 years. I started off in an 120-hour course myself. And right before this call, I was just teaching the CEO of an Israeli insurance company, somebody who is about my age and never was able to, grasp English so well, especially how it's taught sometimes in the school system. And he's just one of many, many, many people that I've taught over the years that really need to know how to use English in order to function in their jobs. And the world is full of that. So that's how I'll kind of start talking about here in terms of our TEFL certificate, 120 and 140 hours, both, first of all, orient in terms of what it means to teach a new language, because many of the people that you'll encounter have taken years and years of English, or maybe in school right now taking English, but they're not really learning a new language. I always call it learning about English. And you'll start to hear all kinds of terminology, especially those of us who did not grow up, who grew up as English speakers, have never heard of all of these different grammar terms, etc. And that's basically a lot of what's going on, that and vocabulary tests in school. And then it's not really about learning a new language. And that's the orientation we begin with. And then we drill down into the 4 skills: speaking, listening, reading, and writing. You'll actually be surprised in terms of how much your students have been exposed, have very little to speaking, for example, and to listening, and more reading and writing. And what we try to do is to give you the understanding behind what it means to learn and to teach these 4 skills, along with all kinds of kinds of activities and sample activities, etc. We also, as Jody mentioned, do talk about teaching grammar, because this is something that a lot of students feel that if I just knew the grammar, then I would be able to speak correctly, to write correctly, etc. There's a big debate about that, but we are expected as professionals to have a grasp on the grammar, and you'll get a good base in terms of what it means to teach grammar to non-native speakers or to learners, and also the kinds of resources you should point them to. Effective lesson plans, that's a huge, huge thing. And this is something I know Lon is here on the call. He and I discuss constantly because just like, you have a business plan when you start a business, you have any kind of plan, you've got to know what's going to happen during that 45-minute session or that hour-and-a-half session. And things need to be planned with a specific rationale. What are my objectives? What does this student want? And then how does that translate into the kinds of activities I'm going to be doing in the lesson? Because, it is nice to, kind of, make small talk for, 30 minutes or so. And I'm sure you're all nice people and I'm a nice person, etc. But that gets us through maybe lessons 1 and 2. If we want to be serious, if we want our clients to understand that we're serious, that we're there to help them accomplish their goals, lesson plans. So there's a huge emphasis on lesson plans. And then finally, testing and evaluating. And that doesn't mean, just only formal tests, although we do mention all of the formal tests, maybe Ielts you've heard of, et cetera. They are mentioned in the course. They are covered in the course, but also the idea of testing in order to see, what your student might need, some kind of diagnostic test, for example. So not just summative tests. Now, what do we do? What does a typical unit have, let's say, in our course? First of all, we give you the background, and I believe just enough background that you need for whatever subject we're going to be following. We then try to give some kind of classroom examples. Now, this might be a description of a classroom example. We might ask you to go watch a video. We might ask you to explore a website, et cetera. And that gets me on to the online resources. One of my big beliefs is that a new teacher should also be able to know, what's out there and what's good. Because if you kind of Google TEFL or teaching English, et cetera, there's an awful lot of stuff out there, but you have to know what the quality stuff is. And that's the kinds of things that we have selected and are curating so that you become exposed to really good stuff that you can use after as well. And all of these are followed up by reflection activities. These aren't things you need to turn in, but these are sort of self-check. So, you've looked at resources, you've looked at material, and now try to reflect on it. And we give you a specific framework in terms of how to reflect. Each unit also has some formative quizzes. Also, these do not count towards your assessment, but they're there to say, okay, wait a minute, did I really understand what the major parts of that of the unit were? Do I really have a grasp on what it was they wanted me to get out of this? So it's very important to do those formative quizzes, and of course, then they do prepare you for the summative assessment. And those are in 2 parts. One is a multiple choice quiz, and another one is actually 4 writing tasks. 2 of them are lesson plans. So again, here I am with pushing the lesson plans again. I think we have, yep. And then just a final word about accreditation. There are lots of TEFL courses out there. I'm sure everybody's done a lot of exploring, but you have to separate the ones that really are going to prepare you to teach, and especially to start your own business if you want, from the ones that are just to give you the piece of paper. And that's why we've taken upon ourselves to be accredited by these 2 organizations. I'll especially mention ATSA, who knows every single word, comma, period, and question mark in all of our material, is constantly monitoring and giving us advice in terms of how to make things better, and ensuring that you are going to have the best course possible.
Thank you, Daniel.
Sure.
That is a great summary of everything that we will be learning as new teachers. I also just wanted to share this slide just to give you people an insight into what the course platform looks like. This is just one of the random lessons. You can see on the side here, you have your introduction, how to be a good teacher, and then you just click on the links and go through. Module 1 is the PDF that you download. This is the materials that you'll need to study. Some of the video resources underneath that there, that you can watch over there, and then the little quiz. So there'll be short quizzes after each one. And like Daniel says, these are to help you as well to make sure that you've understood everything. They won't count towards the final assessment mark. That comes in the multiple choice quiz and with the assignments at the end. But yeah, you could click on videos, download resources, and things like that throughout the course. All right. Thank you, Daniel. We'll move on now to the second part, because we've spoken, that's the core, that's the theory that is included in the 120 hour and the 140 hour. But the difference there is that extra 20 hours, and that comes in the form of an online teaching practicum. Your coach will be Lorne, so I'll pass it over to Lorne now to give you a little overview of what is included in that section.
Thank you, Jody, and good evening, everyone from Thailand. It's 9 p.m., a little after 9 p.m. my time, so I'm a little bit later than the rest of you. We just heard Daniel explain what is involved in taking the 120, 140-hour course. That provides you all the tools that you need in order to go into the ESL classroom and to teach and do a successful job of it. We also want to provide a tool or a platform in which you could also build your confidence. And so the practicum is a platform in which you get real ESL students, and that we teach you and we guide you from the process as far as how to prepare your lesson plans, how to use all the technical stuff that you can find on Zoom and other platforms, as well as what to use while teaching to make your lesson plan a little bit more alive. It also provides the practical experience so that when you apply for a job for someone, you're able to say, yes, I've had a guided experience. I've done student teaching per se. And it's a much better thing to say on your resume than just saying, yeah, I volunteered in the basement of a church, in the basement of a school where no one is guiding or no one's watching, no one's helping you to develop the tools. We want you to have the platform in order to make mistakes in a controlled environment. We often learn more from our mistakes than we do from our successes. So this also provides an opportunity in which you can make a mistake while teaching, knowing the pressure's off, that you're not going to be penalized for those mistakes. No one's watching you. Big Brother isn't going to say, okay, you're out, or your salary is going to be cut in half or whatever. So how does this practicum work? Well, it starts out with you watch 6 videos. 3 of the videos are teachers in the classroom who are teaching, and then 3 other videos are online teachers. And we provide with you a form where we want you to critically analyze what you're seeing in those videos. We don't want you to simply say, oh, that's a great thing. Oh, I never thought of that before. But we do want you to analyze that. Where could that teacher have been better? Where did they possibly make mistakes? Where were they disconnecting with students? Things of that nature, so that you can see what a classroom is like, both in classroom as well as online. So when you fill out those forms and you analyze each of those 6 videos, you'll send that to me. Once that is done, I will then pass you on to the online school. Christina, who's in charge of that, will then ask you to give you some documentation to get you set up for your students, and then you will give her your availability and she'll give you students according to that availability. Once you've been assigned your first class, then you will come back to me and we'll have, like this, a Zoom meeting for about an hour. We'll go over everything that you need to know prior to teaching online. Things such as, what equipment do you need to use? Props, how do you make props to use in your class to make your class more alive? For children, how do you offer rewards? I use keychains, but rewards that make the kids feel, yes, I did a great job, fantastic. And so they can see that rewards are being built up. So how do you do that? What type of rewards? How to use rewards on a, say, Zoom platform? We also teach you how to manage your lesson plan, manage the timing, because many times you'll find a lesson plan, you'll be given a lesson plan that's 60 minutes long, but you have a 30-minute class. So how to find redundancy in that lesson plan and how to make that lesson plan your own, and how to arrive to the goal. So we go over everything with that. Then once you've had that 1-hour tutorial with me, you'll be given your first class, and you'll teach 1, 5, 6 classes. And you'll be on your own in that. I'm not going to be watching you. No one's going to be watching you. The reason for that is we want you to take ownership of that classroom. We want you to feel comfortable to make mistakes. We don't want you to feel like someone's watching, and if you make a mistake, you're going to be scolded. The students that are coming in, they realize that you're student teachers and that it's not going to be from a 20-year professional who's been teaching for a long time. So they're okay with that. So the pressure is off. And so once you make a mistake in this platform, you'll know how to hopefully solve it when you get into the real world, into a real teaching situation. We will provide all the lesson plans that you need as well. You will have to adapt them, but I will go over with you how to adapt those lesson plans during a tutorial. We also provide you what's called the personal reflection form. So after each class, you'll have to evaluate how you felt that class went. And then after each class, you'll send that to me and I will read your comments. And then through that, I'll make suggestions on how you can tweak this, how you can tweak that. Maybe your classes are going overtime. And so we'll make suggestions on what can you do to gauge your time during the lesson, things of that nature. Then around lesson 6 or 8, 6, 7, 8, I will come and that's when I will observe your class. And not to sit there with a critical eye and say, oh, you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong. But because like anything new, there's a lot of information and sometimes it's overwhelming. And so we need to have that check to see, are you incorporating all the things that we taught you? And if you're not, we simply say, okay, no, try this or try that. and incorporate it over the next few lessons that you're doing. So that's the purpose of the evaluation. Once that is done, you will have another 4 or 5 students to incorporate those things. I will be available all the time. You can send an email, Lon, this happened, or Lon, we had technical difficulties. What should I do about that? Or the lesson plan seemed to have been way below the level of the student or way above the level of student. So how do I tweak that? This is the reason that we do the practicum, so that when you get into these situations, you'll start to have the experience on how to tweak the lesson while you're teaching the lesson itself. And finally, you'll be issued a certificate. If it's part of the 140 hour, it's going to be included in the 140 hour certificate. If it's a 120 hour and it's a add-on, then you'll get a separate certificate, and you'll get a letter of recommendation from our online school as well. So I enjoyed chatting with you guys. I hope that I've been able to answer some of your questions on what to expect, and I hope we see some of you on the other side. All right, then.
All right. And at the end of a course, you get an accredited certificate. Now, the certification that you get at the end being accredited plus the letter of recommendation, that's what we're going to put together for you so that you can apply to schools. The schools are going to that's going to make a difference in your applications. It's also for your freelance platforms. If you can prove, if you're a new teacher coming onto a freelance platform, you can prove that you've actually taught real students in a real classroom environment, which is what they are looking for. All right. So that's the 120 hour, the 140 hour, the practicum. That's your teacher training itself. All right. Over here, I just put up a slide as well of one of the practice classes that you'll see. It's a slide format that you go through. On the right here, you can see one of our previous graduates that's gone through it. This was one of her practice classes. This video, this is just a screenshot from the video, is available on our website as well. Under that tab I mentioned earlier, Teach English Online, where you'll find all general information about teaching online. The student, of course, has asked us to blur his face. He doesn't want to be used, his face used in our marketing. So that's all right. That's why it's blurred. But this is basically what you'll be going through. And I advise you to go to the website and go and look at the video itself. All right. Okay, the next part of our bundles, of our training bundles, is the mentorship program. So this is where we are going to take all of the previous things that you've learned and put them into practice and help you build a career now. All right. So this is one of the things that really separates eTEFL Online from any other TEFL course provider. There are lots of great TEFL course providers out there. I'm not saying anything negative about them. They have great educational products. There are others that are not so great, but the good ones, even though they are great, will only give you the education, and that's where their assistance stops. And that's not where it stops. This is where we get going in part 2 now of your program, is with the mentorship and helping you put all of those things together and actually become an online teacher and start earning a living through teaching English online. All right. So questions that you may not have considered when you clicked on that link on Facebook, where you saw an ad, take our TEFL course and teach English online. Technically, that's true. But in between, there's a lot to be done between getting a certification and earning a living online. So how do you prepare your resume, your cover letter, your introduction video, your freelance profiles? Do you even know what those things are? And did you know that you needed them? How do you apply for jobs? How do you get interviews? Who do you contact for these kind of things? What happens in an interview? Are you going to be prepared for that interview? How do you get your own private students? And how do you make sure they keep booking classes with you? Right? These are the things that we're going to address in the mentorship program. And we're going to guarantee that at the end of it, that you will have an interview and that you'll know how to pass it, and that you will have private students booking classes with you on the platforms as well. And that's one of our big focuses. Well, because there are 3 ways to teach English online in general. That is working for online schools, working with freelance platforms that just connect you with the students, and then just going completely independent and getting your own students. So we focus on 1 and 2 with this, and we want you to have as many avenues of income as possible, because I'm sure that those of you who are having, researched this, teaching English online and TEFL in general, have heard about what happened in China. Most of the online schools there, the government just shut them down the other day. They just wiped out a $140 billion industry in a week's time. All right. So if you only had your eggs in that one basket, a lot of teachers then lost their jobs. There are still plenty of schools out there. And as we are going now with the mentorship program, we have a 100% success rate in helping people get interviews and to get jobs afterwards. All right. So the jobs are out there, but we also suggest that you have in your back pocket or focus on freelancing. All right. So getting your own private students, because that's where you can earn more money and that's where you have the most flexibility. But don't forget about the online schools. Try to have both so that you can always have something to fall back on. And Zander is going to talk about this now. I hope Zander's on the call. I can't really see
him. I'm here, Jody.
There he is. Zander, how are you?
Well, and yourself?
Excellent. How are things in South Africa today?
Good. The weather is getting better, so I'm feeling sorry for the guys in Spain or in the whole of Europe.
We're doing all right. We're doing all right. All right, Sander, I'm going to leave it up to you to explain everything
Yeah.
about your mentorship program and take it away.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Jody. And hello, everyone, for the faces that I can and cannot see. So thank you for the opportunity, Jody, to just say a few words about the mentorship program. So I think maybe as a backstory to where this program came from, at the end of last year, I quit my job and I wanted to take back control of my time and my life. And so I took the plunge into online teaching. I finished my Tefl certificate. I think I got it on the 28th of December. And then I started applying far and wide to schools for any opportunity to make some money of teaching online. And it took me, I think, around 28 days until I taught my first lesson online since the day I received my certificate. And I remember earlier this year, as I was gaining some momentum in online teaching, I contacted Jody and I told him, Jody, it feels like there's a massive void between being a qualified online tutor and really being an employed or working online tutor, because it felt like I had to navigate through an ocean of resources and suggestions and advice to really get to the places where I could start teaching as soon as possible. And so really the focus and the aim of the mentorship program came out of a place where I really had the desire for someone to help me to get into teaching online and earning money as soon as possible, because I've spoken to quite a few tutors who received their TEFL certificates and then went on waiting months, even years before they taught their first class, which is a really sad story. And so basically the focus of this program would be to minimize and to shorten the amount of time between getting your certificate and starting to teach. And so the mentorship program really is driven to remove any and every obstacle you might face, any time waster you might face in the process of being employed with an online school, listing yourself on some of these freelance platforms. And we've, as Jody said, we've had really had a massive success rate. We've not had one of our participants in the program go for an interview and not get the job. And so we've learned a few things along the way. I've learned some things in my own journey since I've started in late January teaching my first class. I've exceeded my target income in about 30 hours of teaching a week. So if you're willing to put in the work and you have someone that's able to point you in the right direction, it can really happen very quickly for you. And we have great relationship with some of the recruiters from these schools, meaning we not only know the process of applying and doing the interview, we know the people who will be doing those interviews with you. So I just want to make a few comments on what we'll be focusing on in the mentorship program. It's broken up basically into 7 more or less 1-hour sessions to be done over Zoom twice a week. So each session will cover a specific aspect of what you need in this journey to become an online teacher. So if we could maybe just look at an overview of all the sessions. So session 1 basically is an introduction where we ask the question of why did you make the decision to transition into online teaching? And this might seem like a very philosophical question, but it really helps to have a strong motivation, not only to get you through the program successfully, but to actually sustain you in your career in online teaching. Session 2, we focus on and this is basically the start of what we call the production week, where we guide you and help you to record a high quality video that we'll use to list you or to create your profile on one of these online freelance platforms. Then session 3 is we focus on resumes and interview preparation. So we basically create an incubator type of environment where we put you in an interview scenario with the material that you'll be asked to present in an interview, and we give you some very good feedback to maximize your chances of actually succeeding in the interview and getting employed. Session 4 is the start of what we call application week, where we take our resumes, our introduction videos, we send it out far and wide, we create profiles on freelance platforms, and that's basically the start of a very exciting journey of teaching online. We've had people since the day they sent out their application, it was I think at about 10 days later, they taught their first class with an online school. So session 5 then basically is also focused on teaching children, as despite what has happened in China, there's still a massive market in teaching English or teaching English to children rather, which is one of the very sort of the quickest ways to actually get going and gain some valuable experience and to earn some money while you're doing that. Session number 6 is focused on selling yourself. As Jody said, there's more than one way to go about teaching online, and a very important aspect of your success in teaching online is your ability to acquire private students on freelance platforms or even beyond that. And we want to really help you not only with the process of getting employed, but we have quite a big focus on helping you market yourself. How do you conduct trial lessons, meaning like the first engagement you have with a prospective student? How do you go about facilitating that lesson? And then also student retention. How do you not only get a lot of students, but how do you make sure you keep those students in the long term? So that's basically a quick overview of our program. As we've said, we've had a lot of success, and this is something that I really, really wish I had 9 months ago when I was starting this journey. So if you're at the start of your journey or you're transitioning into this journey, this is a definite must in your journey. So yeah, thank you very much, Jody.
Thank you, Zander. Unmute myself there first. I just put another little screen up here. This is just a screenshot from our latest mentorship group over there. Just to give you an idea of how it's all set up and what it'll look like, and all the happy faces of the people learning a lot. Like I said in the beginning, there is a lot that going into this journey that you just don't know. It's not your fault. It's just a very specific industry with very specific requirements. And what happens a lot of the time is people get certified, and then they, like Zander spend months, spent years, because you're going to have to go then on another journey of discovery to find out all these things you need along the way. And we can help you cut all of that out and just go straight to the interview process and to the freelance process. All right. One of the important things about this mentorship program as well is the PATH program. So the PATH program is supplied by Just SL Tutors. They have over a decade of experience in the recruitment side of English as a second language, both working online and both in the schools as well. So this bundle, it's not a course that you have to complete and get a certificate for, but it's a resource bundle basically. So this is where you will find the resume and CV templates, the introduction video templates, the freelance profile templates, keyword lists to help you construct your CV. It also includes things like social media marketing, how to use LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram to find students, all right? Now, so during the program, Zander will, for example, during application week, you need to prepare your CV. So some of the homework you'll get would be, all right, so for the next session, you need to have your CV prepared. This is where you're going to go with your PATH program to go and download all those templates and resources and start building your CV. Then on the next session, you'll meet up to evaluate those documents, see what can be improved and what is good already, and so forth. All right. So this is a big part of the bundle, and all the resources that you need will be in this. All right. Of course, it's included in all of our online teacher training bundles. So then the next part we want to talk about is niche specialization. Now, it's one thing to tell somebody, oh, you should get a niche. That's how you'll earn more money. But where do you find a niche? What is your niche? So what we want to do is we want to help give you a niche, and we want to talk about the Ielts exam preparation niche. So exam preparation is a massive industry. The Ielts is probably the biggest exam out there that people take to prove their level of English, right? Ielts stands for the International English Testing System, and it is an exam taken by over 3 million candidates every year. So there's a huge demand for teachers that specialize in preparing students for these exams. So the students take these exams because they want to immigrate to a new country, because they want to go study abroad in Canada or the US or Australia, or they want to get a job in an English-speaking country or an English-speaking company, and they need to prove that they have the sufficient level of English. They take this exam, they get a certificate that proves that, and the companies and the countries and immigration departments all over the world accept Ielts. It's internationally recognized. So this is why we included it. And Roxanne Buerta is another eTEFL online graduate of ours who specializes in this and helped us create this program for you to give you that little bit of a head start in this exam preparation niche. Roxanne, are you there?
I am. Hello.
Hi, there's
Thank
Roxanne.
you, Jody.
Hi, Roxanne.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Yes, as Jody said, it's been an amazing niche for me. It's really helped me gain a lot of students. It's really quite enjoyable to teach as well. So in the course, firstly, I have included a detailed breakdown of each part. This is important for you to know because you need to pass this information on to your student so they know what to expect. And I'm sure you all know knowing what to expect when you walk into exam makes you a lot more confident in taking on each task. And then I have included explanations of each task type. First, it's broken down into the 4 sections of the exam. So there's the reading, writing, listening, and speaking. So for each part of the exam, there's a certain amount of task types. So there's a detailed explanation of each task type. And this is also very important because you are going to feel confident as a teacher to guide your student in fully preparing them for each task and helping them obtain their best possible band score. And next, in each section, there is also over 140 PDFs, 90 minutes of audio, and 45 minutes of video resources. So all of these resources they help you as a teacher to get a good understanding of the exam. And they're also very useful to use when you are actually teaching your students because there are activities that you can give to your students during lessons. And then there is also additional PDF resources such as example exam papers, answer sheets, and these can be used for mock exams with your students. There are also band descriptors to help you gain more of an understanding of the marking criteria for both the speaking and writing sections. I've also included various language resources to help with the preparation. These are things like linking structures for the writing, different topic lists that your students can expect, and vocabulary lists that will be very important. Just going back to the PDFs, they're broken down to match the task types. So you'll get an explanation of the task type, then you will have PDF resources with activities to help your students prepare for that task. I don't think I explained that too clearly at the start, but yes, and that is the course.
Thank you very much, Roxanne. So yeah, just to clarify something about the band descriptors, all right? These are things that you will learn in the course, but for example, Ielts, the student can't fail. They don't pass or fail. They just get a level, a band. So they can start from like band 1 to band 9, all right? So for example, the student wants to attend university in the United States. They tell him that you need a band 7 or 8 for this specific course, all right? So that's what they'll be aiming for. And that's what the resources are going to help you understand, so that if your student comes to you and says, look, I need to the IELTS exam and I need to get a band 7. Is it possible? And you can evaluate the student and then help them achieve that band score so that they can achieve their dreams. I mean, this is very serious stuff. A lot of these students are sometimes fleeing terrible situations in their country, and they would like to immigrate for those kind of reasons. So there's a lot of, I don't want to freak anybody out, but sometimes the people you'll meet, there's a lot of seriousness about this, all right? These people are dedicated, and this is one of the benefits as well of teaching niche English as well, is because your students have a goal. They're not coming to you as like, I just want to learn English, and they kind of get lost along the way. But when they have a certain goal, they are dedicated, and to work with a dedicated student is a whole different ball game. It really makes your job far more interesting and compelling as well. And to know that you make a difference in somebody's life, and the people that you'll meet and the friends that you'll make. This is something we cover in the mentorship program as well. Zander talks about it a lot, about all the friends he's made and all the invitations to Italy and Sweden that he's received. All right. So it's not just a job, it's a vocation. And you will see once you start teaching the people and the places and the things you learn about. And also at the end of all of this, I know there's a lot of information to give everybody, but you will be part of our online teacher community, as I mentioned before. We have Facebook groups and WhatsApp groups. You can join them if you want. If you don't want to, that's all right as well. But it's just great to know that there are other people out there that are on the same journey as you. So the process of getting started, well, it's 5 steps, all right? The first one is just to enroll in one of our online teacher bundles on the website. You complete your teacher training program then, the 140 hour, the 120 hour, those things. You start the mentorship program. As soon as you've got your certificate, that's an important distinction to make. You need to have the Tefl certificate before we can start the mentorship with you, because it's going to be required during the application week, all right? So when you start sending out your applications, you have to attach a certificate to it. Then your Ielts course. Now that can be done at any point. It doesn't have to be completed before the mentorship. You can do it before, during, after, whatever suits you. And then we'll help you start teaching English online. This is just a little graphic of how the process all works. One thing to note here is the difference between the 120 hour and 140 hour TEFL courses. With the 140, you need to have completed your 20-hour online teaching practicum as well, all right, before we begin the mentorship. But that can be done in, like I said, 20 hours, all right? So the next step, I just wanted to talk about some of the bundles we have. We have 2 bundles for new teachers, all right? If there's anybody on this, watching this webinar right now, who already has a TEFL certificate, you can contact us afterwards and we can create a bundle for you specifically. But this webinar was designed for specifically new teachers who are interested in getting into this career. So these bundles are designed for you. The first one, the standard, includes the 120-hour TEFL course, then the path resources, the Ielts specialization, the mentorship program, the ongoing support, the community groups, everything we've discussed before this. And the price at the moment on the website is in South African rands, 3,990 rands, or in euros, 259. Now, at the end of the month, these prices will be going back to the 4,990 and the 299. The special ends at the end of the month. And the advanced online bundle now includes everything that was discussed previously, now only the 140-hour to give you that extra 20-hour online teaching practicum. The standard bundle that I mentioned before with the 120-hour course is for people who already have some sort of online teaching experience, or maybe in your job, you did a lot of online training, conference calls, things like that. You are comfortable with delivering information online and using the software like Zoom and sharing screens and PDFs and things like that, that perhaps the practicum is not something that you need or you can't afford, or whatever your reasons may be. But if you're a complete newbie, then I would always recommend the 140. Now, again, this is 499 in South African rands, 4,990 rand, or 299 euros, depending on where you're from in the world. And again, these prices will be going up at the end of the month. It's very simple. All you need to do is go to eteflonline.com and online teacher bundles. Now there's a tab at the top as well. You can just click on, when you go to that page, click on the tab courses. It'll be a drop-down box. It's the first option there. You'll see a page like this. And at the bottom of the page, there is a enroll button. All right. So you'll see 2 tables. You choose which one you prefer. You can also click on all of these little blue links and they'll give you more details about every single one of those inclusions as well. And then you just click on enroll now and follow the steps, your personal and payment info, and we can get started right away. We have 2 options for you to pay as well. You can pay upfront in full, or there's a 3-month payment plan where you'll pay 50% upon enrollment, and then another 2 monthly payments of 27.5%. Very specific, I know, but that brings to a total of 105%, which is just a slight 5% admin fee included in that. All right. Does anybody have any questions? We had to lose Daniel because he has to work, and Zander as well, because he has a class right now at 4:30. So he's teaching English online at the moment. But I am still here. Roxanne is here and Lorne is here if anybody has any extra questions. I see there's some chats in the chat box. Let me go through those. Hello, everybody that said hello in the beginning. Sorry, I'm only reading the chats now. So Roxana was mentioning the benefits of being academic scholar. A lot of information here. Well, yeah, this question that Roxana has about already having a TEFL, yes, just contact us at the end of the webinar, and then we can put something together specifically for you. All right, we can tailor make a bundle because you say here you're just finalizing your TEFL training at the moment, so you've already got that part, and then we can help you with the mentorship program and with the Ielts and things like that as well. So anybody, just send us an email. It's support@eteflonline.com, or you can just go through the website. You can click contact us there. You can also click on a button that is to book a call with a consultant if you would like to talk to someone else. Has anybody else got any questions? Let's see. Elmarie.
Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Thank you. I'm so grateful that I've joined the webinar this afternoon. I completed my TEFL 5 with eye to eye, and I got my certificate in February. And since then, I've applied, but I have not been successful at all. And time is running, and I really want to get started with classes and my journey, my new career.
Yes.
So I would appreciate any assistance from your side.
Elmarie, we also have mentorship bundles. If you go to our website again, right, there's a lot of information there, which I always refer to. But we have mentorship bundles specifically for people in your position, because this happens a lot. I can't tell you how many emails I get on a daily basis from people who already have TEFL certificates but don't know where to go next and have applied but have not found success. So we will have a cheaper option, which is an upgrade basically to the mentorship program, including the Ielts. So like everything we talked about today, it just accept the TEFL course because you've already got that. So
wonderful. Thank you. So I'll just go to your website and then I'll find it there.
Yes, well, that's the information for you. Then you can email us afterwards, and I can send you the offer. I need to just you need to send us a copy of your TEFL certificate so we can verify that you actually do have a TEFL certificate. No problem at all. And then we will send you all the links and everything you need to sign up. The next group starts in a week almost. On the 1st of October, we'll start with a new group.
Excellent.
Okay. Thank you, Elmarie.
So much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Lindiwe.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly.
Okay, great. Yes, I just have two questions. So the first question is, I'm already a qualified teacher with some years of experience. And so is it still necessary for me to get the TEFL? And also, what's the difference between TEFL and CELTA? And then lastly, my husband is also a teacher, but he's a non-native speaker. He's Ghanaian. So what kind of advice would you give him if he wants to get into the online space as well with teaching?
Okay. Well, for your first thing, you said that you're a qualified teacher. Do you have a teaching degree?
Yes, I have a PGCE. Okay.
Well, if it's a 4-year degree, then there's no need for the TEFL course. Although I would always recommend you take it, not just to sell you something, but because you can ask Roxanne as well. She also has a teaching degree. There are things in the TEFL course that you wouldn't learn in a normal teaching degree, which is specific to teaching like English as a second language. So there's always something you can learn. But if you don't want to, we can also help you with the same thing as Elmarie that I spoke to about earlier. Secondly, what was the second question again? Sorry.
Oh, yes, my husband, he's a non-native.
Yes.
Speaker.
Well, that depends on his accent. I mean, if is he fluent like yourself?
Yes, he is, but he does have an accent.
All right. Well, that'll depend a little bit as well. If he has a degree, then we can still help him with that, all right? Because the online schools will require that. Now, being a non-native is going to have an impact on which schools will hire you. Some will not, all right? So that is going to be a thing. But then the freelancing side of it is what we focus on. So that would be definitely the avenue for him to go as well. And you also mentioned the TEFL and CELTA. CELTA is a TEFL course from Cambridge. That's about the only difference, all right? It's a 120-hour course, TEFL course, but it's presented by Cambridge, which makes it 10 times more expensive. But really, it's kind of like the Rolls Royce of teacher training courses out there. Yeah.
Okay. So sorry, with my husband, could he take the IELTS separation course? Yeah.
No, totally. That IELTS course for anybody else as well is open to anybody. You don't need to show us that you have a teaching degree or a teaching certification. Anyone can go online and sign up for that course. All right.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. And then we have Nomandla.
Hi.
Oh, hello.
Good morning, depending on wherever you are.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask 2 questions.
Sure.
Firstly, you indicated that there's 120 course and then there was a 140 course.
Yes.
And if one wants to take the 120 course, is there a chance to do an upgrade later?
Yes.
For the extra 20 hours?
Yes, indeed.
That's
No.
my first question.
Okay.
And then my second question is the schools that you mentioned, are they local schools or schools around the world? I just want information on that one.
They are schools around the world. All right. So I don't really know of any South African schools that do that. But a lot of the companies in South Africa, you might go work for them, but they work with international schools. So it would be Taiwanese-based, European-based. Turkey is an up-and-coming country with a lot of online English schools. So it's mostly international, yes. And what we'll do as well is, if you're in the same, try and keep your classes in the same time zone as well. What Zander does in his mentorship program when we go online, especially if we work with some of the freelance platforms like Preply, your students are a lot of the time in Europe. So it's comfortable to have them in your same time zone, but that's something that we'll help you with later on. Does anybody have another question? If anybody has any other questions, see the chat box is empty, and yeah, you can just unmute and ask. Nope. All right then. Well, like I said, I'm going to hang around on this webinar now. Roxanne, I don't know if you have to go and teach a class anytime soon. Anybody got questions for Roxanne? All right, so.
Sorry.
Sure.
On the IELTS,
Yes.
is it part of the TFL course, that the 120 course? Will you also get that one?
It's not part of the course, but it's part of the package that we put together for you. Yes. So if you take the 120-hour standard online bundle, then yes, that's included. All right. Because on the website, you might also find the tab for TEFL courses. And those are just standalone. If you just want the TEFL course on its own with no support and no extras, that's a different thing. But the online teacher bundles, like it says here on the screen under that link, that includes the 120 or the 140 plus all of those extras included, including the IELTS.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.